Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss, and as you can tell, we got our special guest, the greatest,
very
very special, the man, Chung. How are you doing, sir?
We're doing fantastic. Thank you for having me here.
Yes, sir. We are so excited to have you. Alex and I talk all the time about the first time you were on our show and how many great stories we go back to. We talk about that every week. So thank you for joining us. And it's going to be an exciting week. And yes, happy belated birthday, Alex. Your birthday was earlier this week.
Mr. Alex, was that you with the comma doing jump spinning kick? Was that you?
I did a little bit.
That was pretty cool.
That was, wasn't it?
I like that.
Wow. All right, man. I'm having the best day ever now. This is great.
Oh, man. All right. So we, of course, as you guys know, we're sponsored by the Virtual Fight Tour, and we have a lot coming on with that this weekend, though. And you guys will see some of us from Martial Arts Center Network. I will be there at the Battle of Atlanta. Chris Walker will be. Chung is going to be there. And Travis is going to be there. So come check us out. We will have probably some T-shirts and some different things. We'll be doing interviews and stuff all week. So check us out. But as you guys know, this week we are having the Korean Challenge at the Battle of Atlanta. And as you guys know, since we started this podcast, which is crazy, this is episode 196. So we're getting close to 200. We have been pushing Korean forms, I think, from day one, right?
Literally.
And one of the things that we even talked about here, the question you asked, Master Chung, was, so why are people switching to Japanese forms instead of Korean? And I love it because he was honest. I think it's easier.
I mean, it is easier. When I came on a circuit back in the 70s, you have to understand the martial arts was basically karate.
Yes.
Karate was the household name. It was like Band-Aid, aspirin. It was what we call just martial art, was karate. Still is. Taekwondo is becoming more known. However, in order for you to become a Taekwondo stylist, you got to be a kicker.
Sir.
So when I came on the circuit, it was pretty much the names of like gentleman named of Heidi Ochai from New York.
Sir. Oh, I lost you.
Your audio, Mr. Chung, your audio just went out. We see great possible content, but hear no content. But so while you investigate that, what I'm gonna pick up on that you might have been saying is that there was a fair amount of people back when you first started that were great kickers, and if you had to contend with or be on par with them, essentially you had to get to where they were at. I wish you could tell me what their names were, because it's the first thing I'm going to do is Google them. Do you got audio back yet? No, dang.
Oh, man. Here, let me figure this out.
Yeah, see if you could do that. So while you're doing that, Jeff, let's. Oh wait, do we got it back yet? No. Okay. You know, I want to, since we brought up the kickers, and I knew eventually that we were going to get to this. Mr. Chung, do we have audio again?
Unmute, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Chung, look, there's a tab that says unmute.
Yeah, he's got that. Yeah, it's just still no audio. May have to restart the computer.
Yeah.
Yep, and then we'll bring you back. Yes, sir.
Do that. So while he's doing that, Jeff, let's chat a little bit about your top kickers list that you made, if you remember it. I mean, I don't know how anybody forgets, because Jeff and I both made top kickers list. I made one for fighting. Jeff made one for forms, and basically the best kickers in forms history. And if you look at them, I mean, they're all Taekwondo stylists.
Right.
I mean, everybody.
Yes, sir.
Because that's where you would do the most kicking, is in Taekwondo. And that's really, and this is not, and I hope everybody understands that this is not saying that any other style of martial arts is not as good as, but the reason people start martial arts, A good reason, let me say, a good reason why people start martial arts is because they want to kick stuff, and kicking is awesome. It is.
Oh, there we go.
Who wants to kick? We do things with our hands every day. We don't do things with our feet. Now we got one of the greatest kickers ever. Do we have audio again?
Yes.
Am I?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
We
Can
got
you hear me
Yes,
now?
sir. Yes, sir.
good.
Yes, sir.
So
Okay.
like I was
Okay,
saying,
you were
when I
starting to
was-
tell us about something.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let him go.
So
Yep.
when I was competing, the gentleman's name of Heidi Ochai,
Yes, sir.
Okay.
okay, Toyotaro Miyazaki, Japanese stylist, Heidi Ochai, more of probably Okinawan Japanese system. Those were the who dominated the circuit, and it was karate, the household name. So more of the karate stylist was known. And when I started competing, of course, Ernie Reyes Sr., he was one of the top
Yeah.
Korean stylists.
Mhm.
And George Chung and myself came on the circuit kind of same time, where George was known for his flair, like spinning kicks, multiple kicks. He kind of worked it. His technique, to my opinion, George, I'm your friend, wasn't quite there, but he had the flair. He had the style. He had the charisma. I worked on the techniques. So they called me the technician. Like the East Coast, they kind of portrayed my East Coast as a Kennedy Center, more of the elegance, the
Look at this.
technician.
For those of you
Whereas
guys
George more
not watching,
California,
for those of you guys
West Coast.
listening, what we're watching right now is Mr. Chung is telling us about his techniques. We're watching one of his forms with impeccable technique, kicking on both sides. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Continue.
Thank you. And then, George with his flamboyance, that so-called Hollywood style. And it was great. It was like yin and yang. And we
Yeah.
kind of, in a way, stole the show. But also same time, we set the standard for the Korean stylist. In order for you to compete in the Korean division, you got to kick. In
Right.
order for you able to compete and win in the Grand Championship, you got to not only kick, you have to have the style, the charisma, the flamboyance. You have to have everything. So, by having said that, a lot of the people didn't want to spend time on stretching, kicking, technique. Not saying the stances are easy. Those stances, strong stances, transition, the quick takeoff that Japanese stylists do are
Right.
hard, but
Yeah,
not as
that's
hard
true.
as when you have to stretch and stretch
Correct.
and stretch.
Correct.
Not also with just one leg, both legs,
Both legs. Exactly.
both legs.
Yes,
And
sir.
that requires a tons and tons of, I mean, think about Michael Jordan, right? He didn't just fly. He also defended. He also assisted. So you have to be all around, and
Sir.
that's what I guess in a way we set the standard. So when you're doing the traditional challenge, yes, you're doing traditional form, and when you don't have the kicks, you can't really compete as a Korean stylist.
Right. Yeah. So what we are watching is, so you guys know, it's the 1982 U.S. Open Grand Championship. So this is a lot of fun watching and just seeing the one thing too that you did in your forums, and actually was more of a staple back then and isn't as much now, is you use the whole ring, right? And that was something, using that whole box, using
Yes.
that. And so I love seeing that. One of the things that we're going to see this weekend, so when people going to come and watch the Korean Challenge, what are some of the things that they will see? Here's, as myself as a Korean stylist, and also as a notable Korean forms practitioner and competitor. What's cool is there are different lines, right? You have some forms that go in a complete straight line, right? Like one of the forms I do, Oyam. It goes everything on both sides. You got to do a complete reverse, right? One way, then you got to reverse and do it the other way, all the way in a straight line. Then you have forms that go the same all the way sideways. Then you have some that go, there's so many different diagrams. It's really cool to see that, right? Even like Gaybeck is a straight line. So with some off, some angles and stuff. So very cool to see. I think that's what's going to be cool. Also, when we add in the second and third round, when you're going head to head and you're doing your form in the same ring as someone else, and you're going to see, like my form may go this way, your form may go this way. It's going to be a little different, but I think it's going to make Korean form stand out, especially on that stage that night. You had the best two. It's not just be another form. It's going to be, oh wow, okay, this is something different. I want to see how this works, right? What are some aspects to Korean forms that you hope people get to see this weekend?
Oh, I just want to see some good kickers.
Yeah.
I want to see some good kicks. Okay. I don't want them to just do the form. I want them to perform. I want them to showcase, highlight, and 95%, if not, I can even probably maybe go to 99% of people that do Quebec, they have, kind of deferred it to step side kick instead of jump side kick.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. No, well, wait. Let's stop. Let's talk about that, because you brought up a very interesting point to touch on here. So you said when people do the step side kick, not the jump side kick, which one do you prefer?
Oh, jump side kick.
And what? Okay. And why do you prefer the jump side kick versus the step side kick?
Because that shows degree of difficulty. Number one, degree of difficulty. Number two, that is what the form is supposed to be.
Right.
Okay. So let's do. So for those, I don't know if you've been under a rock for 70 years. Gaybeck has a point in the form. It is probably the most popular form done on NASCA over decades, but it also has been done like 5 different ways, right?
More than 5 different ways.
I'm being generous, right? And I do it differently. I feel like I got a dang good Gaybeck. I will never say I'm one of the best Korean stylists. Listen, I'm guilty by association from even talking amongst the 3 of us right now in a way that I love to the max. But I felt like, and this is where I want you to educate me here for a moment. I felt like, man, my step side kick, I can lean out. I can make this thing dang near vertical. This thing looks way better. But you're telling me, no, that's not the way to do it. That's not better because 2 points I'm hearing. Because number one, that's not the way it was originally done. And you think the degree of difficulty is better with the jump. Talk to me about it.
All right. So if you're not a jumper, see, everything has a risk factor, right? So you stick to the original. Yes. So there's your, thing. You get 1 point for doing the form original, the better way. 2, if you can't jump and your jump kick is not good, then you're not going to get an extra point, right?
I'm not bad. Maybe I was making myself worse.
Okay. 2, like you said, standing still kick is better, but you're able to execute the technique 10 times better than jump kick. Oh, more power to you. Right? Because it is about the execution of the technique first, not necessarily degree of difficulty. So you're making, as a competitor, you're making smarter choice.
Right.
But we're not talking about like entry level, regional level, even stepping your toes into national level competition. We are talking about the best of the possible best.
Right.
So we need that level of scrutiny and that level of performance. And so then I'm picking up what you're saying, yes, you can make that kick look very good, but you're still not going to get the best score. There's no way you can get the best score because we all know that's not the way it's supposed to be done. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I love talking to you like this.
But he's also
no. But so you have to understand this. This is where the traditional competition and the open competition comes into play.
Right.
Because of the rules are flexible. right? We don't judge the competitor based on their performance. We judge the competitors based on their placement on that division.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if Mr.
What he's saying is
I see what you're saying.
If you come out and you make 4 mistakes,
right,
and Jeff comes out, he makes 6 mistakes, you're still going to get 9-9.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Jeff is still going to get 9-8.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You come out, you fall down, but you finish your form. Jeff comes out, he forgets the form. He doesn't even finish the form. You're going to get 9-9. He's going to get 9-8.
Right. Right.
I'm starting to sense that you don't like that scoring system.
No, I love it.
Okay. I thought maybe there was another topic to be had. Okay.
No. I love the system. In fact, I created a system. In fact, it didn't work because some people, just martial arts people, are stubborn. Right. The way I did it before. And in fact, it was done once. I want to say when Century did a national tournament in Oklahoma City, and I believe US Open tried to do it. Way they did it was just like in golf. You watch all the competitors and you place them.
Right.
And you gave them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Which is essentially what we're doing.
And whoever got the lowest score won.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
It does.
So if you have 3 judges,
very hard to implement.
Okay. But we did it.
Right.
Right. So we did it. People understood, golf, low handicap, you win. So it was exactly the same system.
Same thing.
Except martial artists didn't like it. They could not understand the concept. That's why we went back to 999 and 99, all that.
Yeah.
If you really look at the numbers, we don't even really use the 100.
The 99.
We don't even really use the 10. It's 999 is no different than 99 because you're not giving them the score based on their performance. You're giving the score based on their placement. First place is 999. Second place is 998, 997, and so on forth. So it's not your performance. Therefore, if you stick that beautiful side kick opposed to a sloppy jump side kick, degree of difficulty becomes almost null because your technique is based on your competitor's performance, not your performance.
And we're going to see some of that, this weekend with the head-to-head, right? But there still are things that can disqualify you completely, right? If you do the same form in the head-to-head rounds, you have to at least have 2 different forms to win this thing. Okay. The other thing is if, say, you completely change the diagram of the form. All right. Sorry, that's not going to work. You don't qualify for this division.
Okay, so we started to touch on that. So basically, essentially, what we're saying is and I'm going to out myself. The way I would do Gay Beck, I would essentially disqualify myself. Is that kind of what we're saying?
Yes, sir.
Because I would do it sideways, not forward and back.
Based on the rules, yes.
So based on the rules, I've already qualified myself. Okay, now we understand.
Correct. So what we have to do is we have to educate the competitors, right? Because we do want this to be competitor friendly.
Correct.
We want to make sure, say, hey guys, we want you to compete. You don't want the rules to be so strict.
No.
Only,
right.
Only the ones who really know the rules can play. We don't want that. We want everybody to be able to come in. So before you go, hey, look, these are the rules. If you haven't had it, I happen to have seen the rule because, Jeff posted it up and I said, you have to read this before the division starts. You can't assume everybody knows the rule.
No, exactly. Right? And that is something.
Whoa.
Yeah. And that is something, Master Chung, that Battle of Atlanta is going to do for every division as well. Not just the Korean Challenge. There's something that they're going to have a reference list. We talked about this on our Kappa thing as well. Our coaches and players association show was that and this is something the Battle has done the past couple of years as well, is, something we used to do in the NBL was, and your term as well, and the World Cup was you have a reference list that says, hey, here's the things to remember when you're judging this, but also for the judges, but also for the competitors. All right, do you guys have any question with something that maybe will disqualify you, or maybe this, that, hey, is it okay if I do a jump side kick here, or do I have to do the step up side kick? There's things like that. I mean, I'm even going to go with my thing of some of the things that I think people changed were because I think they thought open judges would not know how to judge it compared to someone else. Let's say like a jump spin back kick in OG, right? In the ITF version, in the version that you do is a jump side kick. The jump spin back kick is very hard to do in a way that looks sticking it and that stands out.
Harder to do.
Right. It's very hard. But then also if you can do a spinning back kick and lock it and hold it, that's just as hard, just in a different type of difficulty, right?
Correct. So, this is where, again, what Mr. Alex had mentioned. I know you say you do step up side kick.
Yep.
What if a competitor comes up and say, this is what I was taught.
Right.
And this is what we do in our school.
Right.
This is what we do in our system.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And then
how do you argue?
That's what we're doing. Yep. Yes, sir. I was just saying that is what we are actually going by. Like, because even AAU is a traditional Korean style circuit, they still had that. Their only thing is that don't take out moves that you can't do. All right. And don't change things to make it so like, all right, if there's a front kick here and you did a running jump side kick, okay, that's completely wrong. Or if you did, if there's a chop punch here and you did a 360 jump here, like, okay, you're elevating it.
You're just making it up.
Yeah. Or if there was a running jump side kick here and you just did a front kick, or, you just did a chop, now that is where you're taking away something that could be harder because you don't want to do it, or you're adding something to make it way more than what it is. And you're kind of completely changing the form and the essence of the form, right? It's just like some people do. I mean, we have axe kick, we have the mountain block. Some people do crescent. Even in the AAU thing, which is where a lot of when we were trying to push this thing, and take this to the promoters, we were like, let's kind of base it off of AAU with what all of us, our backgrounds as well, because it's kind of it's the only open circuit for Korean stylists where they all go against. Everything else Korean stylists is all ITF only tournaments, WT only tournaments, Tang Sudo only tournaments, right? So the AAU kind of makes it where, listen, if you go here, that's fine. If you do a crescent, that's fine. It's just an extension of that. It's just an interpretation of what you do, right? I could do just a stomp here, I could do a crescent here. That's fine. But if I'm going to do a tornado kick there, all right, well, then that's a whole nother, that means you really added it,
Can I ask you a question?
So, yes.
So you're mentioning a lot of different things.
Yeah.
About what's going to be in, what's going to be out. You got to know what the true version is. Do we have a list of what forms are, I guess, allowed or supposed to be within this division?
Yes, sir. So it's on the website. So if you go to Korean Challenge under Battle of Atlanta, it has the different ones, all the forms that are allowed. It doesn't have a diagram of all of them, and honestly, we still got to remember that this is the first time. Now, AmeriKick has done this a couple of times. This is a different format though. And it's been a few years since they've done theirs. But this is still the first time. So we're going to learn along the way. You know what I mean? Again, anytime that you have the first, everyone wants to be the first one to win this thing. I mean, so I think there's a little bit of both. Everyone's pumped up to really win this first thing, but also we got to understand that throughout this year, the different tournaments that are going to do this, we're going to see which setup works the best, right? The Capital Classics is going to do it pretty much the same way that Battle of Atlanta is. I believe from what I heard, the Diamonds are going to do the same thing. Now, Richard Osborne is doing a version at his tournament in St. Louis. He's just going to do 2 rounds. So we're going to see how that works. Amerikick does their version. I believe they're only doing 1 round just with like a forms list, right? So we're going to see what works best time-wise, what's going to look the best competitive-wise, so. And then hopefully by next year we have a decision and it becomes a NASCAR division, right? That's the plan, right, Master Chung?
I mean, I think just like you said, just like everything else, it's going to take time for it to mature, and not just judges, but also the competitors, right? Competitor, I think when I was competing, same thing. Competitor, we work the rules to our advantage, right? Exactly. We try to push the limit and make it work, right? And I think competitors will kind of pave the road to where this is going to take. And with the judges, I mean, I'm sure at Battle of Atlanta, you are going to have people, just like I said, they're going to come up and say, hey, look, I learned this side in Quebec. I learned step side kick. We never did jump side kick.
Right.
We would have to accept that, right? No different than,
wait a minute now. Why would you have to accept that?
Well, because if we're talking about traditional, right, and we want to make it competitor friendly, but also make it challenging, but let them know if you do a jump side kick, we're going to take that in consideration, the fact that it is going to be more, that degree of difficulty will be taken accounted for.
Right.
Okay. Right. So we have to, it's like what Jeff had just said in Quebec at the end, right? Do you do the stomp mountain block, or do you do the axe kick mountain block, or do you do the crescent kick mountain block? Which one do you do? We will see all 3 of them. And we've seen all 3 of them, and they're all correct.
People skip them.
You mean let them not do that?
No, I've seen people skip that altogether.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, it's true.
But then you can use the same argument for that.
Right.
Our style, we never learned, the axe kick. We never learned the crescent kick. So eventually, where does that conversation end? And as you were starting to say that, I had an idea.
Yes,
I want to run it past you, Miss Chung. What do you think about this? So eventually we have to go, guys, this is what we're looking for. And we want it to look like this. We should have somewhat of like a guide or a blueprint. Let's say we dig up some John Chung competition videos. And here you go, guys. It's supposed to look like this. How about that?
Well,
listen, I'm going to tell you, I think I already told you this. I learned a couple forms from watching some of your videos.
Right.
That's how I learned. I'm not kidding you.
To this day, I did those videos back in, wow. But even this weekend, I did a seminar up in Pennsylvania with Donnie Ellickson Jr.'s.
Yes, sir.
Tang Sudo people. These are the Tang Sudo people, Mudokwan. They go, oh, I watch your video so I can practice my ITF form. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Premier Karate, is that right? Premier.
Yes, sir.
They have their like a chain. They
Yes,
go,
sir.
oh, we teach the Premier program, but we still do your ITF traditional form, and we use your video.
Right.
So, I mean, it is very nice to hear those things, and I love it. Except, and I'm going to tell you, when I'm giving private lessons, I work with, Roxanne and Jeff Dunn and many others, but those are the 2 recent competitors. Based on their ability, I will change the form. Based on their strength, I will make it work for them.
Right.
Okay? Jared happened to do beautiful jump side kick. I said, Jared, let's work on that jump side kick on that Quebec. And he does a nice job. Okay? Roxanne, I said, let's just stick those beautiful side kick. And she sticks it like, straight up. Depend on their strength, I will change it because rules allow it.
Right.
That is a good coach right there.
Right.
So 2 things. Andrew chimed in and he's like, I have Mr. Chung videos as well.
Yep.
So anybody else got any of those?
Oh yeah.
Got any of those videos? What form did you Jeff? Because we're good company here. What form did you learn or change or improve because you watch some of those videos?
So honestly, I kind of like go back to it because I look at. So obviously the Panther video of Gay Beck, I think everyone learned Gay Beck from that, right? If you didn't, so especially competing on the NBL circuit, but even now, I kind of go back and look at comparing the two different styles. I'll say, okay, I'll look at the ITF version, and I'll go to Mr. Chung's version, because for people, especially if you go into sport karate and you look at the ITF version, because of the sine wave, it's really hard to like learn it. And so I go back and I kind of have to be like, okay, and I already know the form from my instructor, Preston Rogers, but I have to see and that version of the Kim School Taekwondo version is a completely different way of doing it, because in ITF, I guess General's version, it's the sine wave where you have the bouncing. In the Kim School of Taekwondo, it's a really very twisting type way where your hips and your heel is coming up and you twist.
And a little bit more of the probably Japanese touch.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so he, Master Kim actually has he competed in the World Taekwondo, like Olympic sparring, but does all the ITF forms. So he kind of has that the mesh of the two, right? So there's a lot from there. So for me, it's always comparing, where is this, where is that? How can we make this look the best for an open tournament, right?
Right.
Again, a lot of people, there's certain forms that are so difficult in the ITF system, like a Moon Mu, like a Juche. And some people don't know how to judge it, right? Because it's completely different. But when you're trying to go against a Japanese form in the finals that is 3 minutes long, the only way to really do that
is to change the cadence and the timing.
Change the game and have a form that's going to be either as long or long, but with the difficulty, right?
If you come out and you do, if you came out and you did choreo, and there's some, and then anybody who's seen choreo, for anybody who doesn't know it, has a lot of really great side kicks, low high side kicks on both sides. If you're a great kicker, choreo is a good form for you, but it's pretty quick, right? Yeah. You're going to be done pretty quick.
Simple. You would have to do forms like Chaeyoung,
right?
Chaeyoung or Ulji. Those probably will be the two with the nice kicks and with the length and giving the versatility of stances.
Exactly.
And be able to compete with that. But again, those are hard forms. Okay. Yep. Jeff knows it's long, hard. You got to work.
Yep. Yeah.
I got a question, because you just started to touch on it. If you were to rank the difficulty level and you saw somebody competing in it and you were like, excuse me, you're about to do what form? What would you say? Give me 3 forms that you were like, I mean, if I saw somebody do these 3 forms impeccable, it would be hard for them to not win. What would those forms
I like Yushin and I like Chaeyoung.
Yeah, Chaeyoung is
those two. Chaeyoung and Yushin, I like those two. Ulchi is nice, but I know Jeff does a great job, but he just doesn't have the flow that I like to see in the form. But it is difficult form. But I like those two, especially for the Korean stylists. Quebec used to be, but it's like how Kankudai and Basai used to be, all that. But now more of the Okinawan forms are taking over with the stances and a lot of that was how it was back in the 60s and 70s.
Wow.
Right. Okay. I mean, it's like making the turn. Okay. That's like gentlemen like Chuck Merriman, Domingo Llanos, all those guys. They were doing the old, the Karate Kid, the moves and the low stances and stuff like that. That's what they were doing, and that's what it's going back to.
Right.
Almost with no kicks.
Right.
And then, of course, like we said, we changed it to with kicks and jump kicks, double kicks, multiple kicks, and flying kicks. And then now that's taking a turn toward more of extreme division with, again, no kicks, especially no side kick.
Yes, no
No
side
side
kick. Yes,
kicks.
sir. Yes, sir. So
Side
yeah,
kicks is hard to do.
I just know for me, and I guess again, I'm 39 years old. I turned 40 this year. I still feel like I'm at my peak, and I'm just getting started. And so for me, this is exciting this is something I've been pushing, I don't know, for probably 15, 20 years now to get something here, right? I feel like no matter what, as a competitor, I've always been against the grain. When everyone started tricking, I was like, I'm going to kick, and I'm going to do kicks that no one does, just like you, sir. And now it's like the Korean thing. When everyone is doing Japanese, I'm going to push to try to show what we can do as Korean stylists. And so it's very different, but it's exciting to me to see something that I push for something that you have pushed for years, to at least get that chance, right? And that it's going to be a big deal. So I'm excited for it. I've been super busy, not just training for myself, but doing 25, at least 25 private lessons a week, getting people ready for this, as well as my own students, that do other things as well. But so it's, and then running the school full time as well. So it's been wild, man. As soon as I get there
It's good to
Thursday,
be young.
what'd you say?
It's good to be young, man.
Yes,
Good
sir.
to be
Yes,
young.
sir. Yes, sir. But it's cool for me to finally get there when I don't know, get to where I thought, like, all right, this is where you want to be. You want to go to tournaments, and you have all these lessons, and you have all this and that. And it's crazy that it's here, but it's just an exciting thing. And I don't want that just for myself. I want that for other people, as well.
See,
For
Jeff,
Jeff,
you could be next Tom Brady.
There you go. That's right. That's right.
Remember
Tom Brady? He's already there.
What was it? Was he like third
44,
round, like
45?
400 something pick, third string quarterback, right?
Right. That's right.
He didn't peak until way, way later.
Right.
Yes, I mean, look at him. See?
Yes, sir.
So Jeff, you could tell him, I'm going to be like Tom Brady.
There you go.
Well,
yes,
no,
sir.
Not like Tom Brady. I am Tom Brady of Taekwondo. That's what you tell him.
Oh man. The other thing is something about this, and let's see. The Duarte's talked about this, and that was the other thing about this. This wasn't brought to have a separate division, another division for adults. Okay. It was brought because this is the best way for us to get a junior division in NASCA. Okay. If we're asking people to do, all right, you're going to look at the numbers. We just added 6 divisions. We're presenting 6 divisions to NASCA. If we said, hey, let's split every regular traditional division up, Japanese and Korean. Well, that adds about 12 to 14 divisions, right? But you got to look at this business-wise. And also, anytime you add divisions, that's a lot. You're looking at time and everything, right? So putting 6 divisions that maybe you can run right in front of your traditional challenge that you're doing anyway every tournament, right? That is better, right? And I think we've talked about this before too. To me, I see these challenge divisions like I look at open weight or super fights for a fight.
Exactly what they are.
It's a separate round. I don't even think that it should be in the grand championships. I think it should be its own prize money, separate thing. And then if you want to take it later on to do an overall, you can do that. Like of all the grand champions and the challenge winners, like some of the tournaments they're doing last year, that's there. But I think, to me, like traditional challenge and Korean challenge, again, hopefully with the more the Korean challenge gets better, they'll change the name of traditional challenge to kata challenge, because I don't understand why it's called traditional challenge, because that makes people think that karate
is the way to do traditional form.
Yeah, that's the only.
If you do Japanese form, it's in the name. That's what got everybody.
Yep.
That's what got juniors, and I don't think anybody did it like maliciously, right? But it's in the name. So when kids think, I want to be good at traditional forms, clearly I need to do Japanese form, because that's the traditional challenge. Don't let the name fool you. Right.
So right now, the traditional challenge still exists.
Right.
Yes, sir. It's a NASCA division.
It could be Korean stylist. It could be Japanese stylist. Is that correct or no?
No, sir. No, sir. Korean traditional challenge is just classical kata. That is Okinawan or Japanese. It's pretty much a list of forms that are WKF approved.
So Korean stylists cannot compete in that.
Correct.
Oh, okay. So I did not know that.
Yes, sir. So that was one of the reasons why. All right, how can we help these junior Korean stylists that are literally having to switch? Because now what's winning the traditional challenge is usually winning in the regular junior traditional divisions as well. So how can we help these guys have a division where they can do their forms they know? And that, to me, this is the easiest way to add at least 4.
Yeah, that makes sense why, again, more kids, even adults, are doing more traditional Japanese styles because
they've been doing it for 10 years.
They're doing traditional form, traditional challenge. You're training for that. It's easier to compete in a Japanese division than switch style and go to Korean division.
Exactly. So, and then the other thing is we only have 2 divisions right now that are Korean stylists. So when you put those guys against the Japanese or whatever in grands, the judges have seen way more Japanese and Okinawan forms than they have Korean. So they understand a little bit more or they think this is how it should look, right? Judging wise, the more you're exposed to something, you understand it more, right? And you learn how to judge it more. So we need that more visibility and more respect.
They just need to go out there and kick better. That's all.
Oh, that too. But unfortunately, Master Chung, I think people misunderstand how hard kicking is. I really do.
I mean,
of course they misunderstand.
I'm watching this form, and just in that short segment, how many kicks did I throw? I'm like, dang, that's a lot of kicks, right?
Right. Well, I'm just going to say, all right, go ahead, sir. I'll go into mine.
So, I mean, even the Korean traditional form, there aren't that many kicks. In order for you to win, as a Korean stylist, you got to kick.
Yep. Yes, sir.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, do you have to have good stances? Yes. Do you have? But Korean stylist is not going to beat Japanese stylists in stances because that's what they really practice.
Right.
Korean stylists, you got to work on your kicks. And there's no prettier. Just like look at the dancers, look at the gymnasts. When they're performing all the acrobatic stuff, their extension is amazing.
Right.
Okay, ballerina, same thing. When they extend those legs and extension, it's gorgeous.
Well, you brought up a good analogy when you mentioned gymnastics, because in a gymnastics flow routine, they do more than just tumble. But does anybody really care about anything other than the tumbling? They do a couple of moves with their hands. They go like this, and they move from one corner to the next. And really, we're all just like, okay, yeah, you're just moving from there to there so that you can tumble again. Because that's why we're tuning in, because we want to see you tumble. That's why we're watching Korean forms, so we can see us kick.
But as they tumble, the control of their arm, their extension, their legs, right?
Just like a kicker.
Some feet are together, legs are extended, pointing the toes. That's what you see in the kicks. No different than the hand techniques, right? You see different hand moves, all of that, which is cool. But you do that with your legs. It's even cooler.
Right. Well, I mean, just going back to like last weekend, I was in Detroit, or 2 weeks ago, and I think I did a 25 kick combination, on one leg, all right, on multiple kicks. That was great. I got all 9 5s by the judges because they didn't think it was as difficult as the flips that were going on. I was the only one that threw a standing kick in the whole form, right? So it's very interesting how that mindset, But the other thing is also too that people need to look at, especially in the ITF thing. Actually, even most Korean styles, every move is like you're trying to demonstrate at the best of your ability. Sometimes you see like in Japanese, it's like a combination or a small move. You kind of halfway do a move to get to something else. In
True.
Korean, it's boom, boom, boom. You know that, and really in traditional ITF, it's that 1/1000 beat on everything. So when you see that, that is one of the things you'll need to look at as well. You'll see is every move matters, right? Every move, the way I think of it, is like every move is a knockout blow, right? And so that is something that you see in the ITF style a lot. And the differences in the two styles and the styles, though, we probably need to explain before we finish. You know, Tang Soo Do is really like Korean Shotokan. Okay, a lot of their forms are from the Shotokan system, and they have awesome kicks in there, right? They have some where you would see a back stance in a Shotokan form. You would probably see a cat stance in Tang Soo Do. For the ITF style, you'll see really way more difficulty as far as in the kicking, in the spinning. There's a lot of spin kicks, and then there's very complex hands. The WT forms are very high kicks, not as difficult. Well, there are some forms they're very difficult. There's a lot of the balance and then going to a high kick. The forms usually are shorter in WT. Anything else that I'm missing there, Master Chung?
No, I think you're kind of hitting the point. But even in the Tangsudo system, some of the I don't want to call it Pan Am or Pan American Tangsudo organization. They have their own different organization.
Yes, sir.
Which I didn't see it on the sheet. Some of them will do Chilsung forms.
Yeah, the Chilsung forms are something
Was that included?
They were not included because, again, like in most of the big circuits, they don't use, like in AAU, it's not, because most of the Tang Soo Do systems use those base forms, and then they have the extension. Those are like the extension forms, like the other forms. So,
but if they want to do that, we should be able to allow that and accept it.
Yeah, so that would be something. That would be something down the road. We kind of see how let's get this started, and then we'll add some forms, which has been happening. It happens.
What if we have somebody come at Battle of Atlanta? What are we going to do?
Then
Mr. Chung, he's so accepting of everyone.
From there, I believe the idea is these are the forms that we're doing. You know, the ones that are on this list.
So they're not going to be able to do it unless it's on the list.
Not those. But the thing is with that style, all of them know the other forms. They have to do those other forms before. That's all I'm saying.
They prefer not to compete with others because those forms are, again, kind of simple, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In some ways, yeah. So that's something that I think eventually it can be. So that was just kind of where it went to at first. You know, that's a hot topic as well with ATA forms, because again, that's American Taekwondo. So I don't know. I think eventually that could be something, but I think again we got to start somewhere and then kind of go from there and expand as we go. Just like they do WKF every 5 years, they add some forms from other systems in there. So, but yeah. So we will see how it goes.
I got a question. Because Mr. Chung, you've hit it so many times. You said it so many times today. Got to have great kicking. This is what I want to see. I want to see amazing kicking. Who are 5 amazing kickers, past or present or current kickers that you're like, you should be kicking like this?
Wow. You know, when I competed, there was a little young man. His name was Dayton Pang. I think that was his name, Dayton Pang. And I thought he was a great kicker. He was one of the Ernie Reyes West Coast demo team. He was a young man, teenager, but at that time, I think a lot of the teenagers competed with the adults, just like Ernie Reyes Jr. competed with the adults. I think he was like 8 or 9. But he also competed with the adults. He was one of a great kicker, and I always admired his kicking. His name was Dayton Pang. He was always a top contender, but never really made it to the national circuit because he just didn't travel as much.
Right.
In fact, him and I tied 3 times. 3 times. We had to do our form 4 times. I ended up winning, but I was pooped. I was like, oh my gosh. And that was, I would have to say, probably one of the most memorable because I always admired this young kid, and he was kicking. I loved it, and he just never got the recognition that he deserved.
Right.
And when I tied, I was so happy because I felt like he deserved.
Right.
I mean, if he had beaten me, I would not have felt bad because I just felt that he was like one of those great kickers.
Right.
You know, Aiden Pang, he was one of them. And then there are many others that are out there that all are great kickers, but I'm not going to name because there's too many. And then, of course, I think they're all very, very good kickers out there. But right now, I have to say, I really don't see too many.
I mean, I would agree with you. There's Jeff Doss, and there's a handful of others doing good Korean forms. But
Jeff Doss is, remember, he's Tom Brady of Taekwondo.
Yeah.
Jeff, you're going to be the GOAT.
Okay. Maybe if we're not naming names, I got a different question then.
Yes, sir.
When we were noticing standing kicking, because that's when we're talking kicking, we're talking about standing kicking. What would be the time where you looked around and you were like, this is the best that there's ever been? All right. And it literally was the best ever. You know, what time or year can you think like this is probably the best that kicking ever was in competition?
I think I would have to say probably during my time, mid 70s. That's when, first I was talking about that. My first Battle of Atlanta, I think it was 1978. It was one division, one black belt division.
Right.
Okay.
I did hear a lot.
Adult black belt forms. That
Yeah.
was it. I think we had like 100, a little bit over 100 competitors, if I remember.
Wow.
We were just there all day. Okay. 1978. And then I think year after that, they started separating the Korean division, Chinese division, and Japanese division. The first tournament I think there was ever to do that was called PKA Nationals. And I can't remember, that was either 77 or 78 PKA Nationals. It was in Baltimore. I competed till 4 a.m. Okay. And I was so happy I lost. I lost in my semifinals fighting, but I won the Korean division. Heidi Ochai won the Japanese division, and Tyree Cassell won the Chinese division. That was first time ever they separated the Korean, Chinese, and Japanese. So that's when I was like so-called a national champion, PKA national champion back then.
Right.
But we're talking about the divisions, just everybody in there won. Everybody got to watch everybody. Yes, there are so many divisions now, but the athletes the ability that these athletes have, martial artists, are amazing. Amazing. First time I saw 540 done. 540. First time ever was by Ernie Reyes Jr.
And what year was this?
I can't remember when it was. I was like, what was that?
But he was little.
Pardon me?
But he was little, right?
Yeah, he was little. I was like, what was that? First girl that I've ever seen done, Jennifer Santiago.
Yeah.
She was the first junior girl to ever do 540. Whoa, So
yeah,
when you're talking about the evolution of martial arts, I was doing tornado kicks, 360s, spin kicks, jump. These guys were doing 540s. When they came out, everybody like, whoa. And then, of course, 720 and 90. It's just amazing the things that are doing. But when you come down to just the kicks alone, with a single kick, multiple kicks,
right?
I was
just
just
standing and kicking.
During my time, late 70s to mid 80s. And then when the so-called the tricking that came along, you kind of start fading away.
Yeah. But wait, I'm gonna lean in on that.
Okay.
Because I know that when I ask you questions, I'm gonna get something that I've never heard, but I never know what it's gonna be, right? So
Go
but
for it.
when you say like during your time, as I think back, and I think you're absolutely right. Once the evolution of tricking started to come, then it was like, oh wait, I don't need to kick on both sides anymore.
Right.
I'll do a kick combo, and then I'll start with the right leg side kick, and then but I'm about to do a 720 that is the hottest move right now. Nobody's ever seen it. Nobody's gonna care that I didn't kick with my left leg, which is sadly was true, right?
It is
However,
true. Absolutely. Even
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
oh well, especially now, people don't even front kick now,
Right.
right?
They point their toes.
But yes, but I think I'm going to push back and say the early 90s. Are you sure it wasn't the early 90s? Are you sure it wasn't at its peak then?
I mean, that could be possible, but
No, it's
only
okay to tell me
person-
no. You know more than me.
no, somebody just pointed out, okay?
Chat.
At that time frame, I would have to say probably Mike Chat was probably the best kicker.
Yeah.
Okay. He was best kicker, but he was 90% right leg. He never threw left leg side kick. And I even told him that. He threw the left leg front kick and round kick, never threw left leg side kick. He was great, mind you. I'm not saying he was bad. Okay. But he was the only one. Who else can you name besides Mike Chat
Like
during
that?
that era?
I mean,
Who?
there was a lot of
Yeah. I mean,
No.
I think of Kingston, but Kingston won more as a junior. He didn't really move
Kingston
up.
was my student.
Yeah.
I knew his ability. He was very short period. He was
Yep.
very short,
Short period.
maybe year and a half. That was it.
Yep.
If you can't be out there more than 3 to 5 years, then no.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
You have to
Anthony
be
Murata,
out there.
saying
Okay?
Anthony Murata, Gemma Win. Yeah, Anthony Murata. I got a great spot in my heart for Anthony Murata. But you know what? Hang here. And then we'll end on this. Did
Well,
you
yeah,
know,
no,
Mr. Chung, that when Jeff made his list, he put Kingston as the best kicker in the history of tournament karate? Did you know that?
No, that's great.
I mean,
So that
again,
means he was a great student. He worked.
right.
We
He
made
did.
him work.
I go back and just look at, and again, it's hard though with longevity. When that was the only thing for me is looking at him. Again, sorry guys.
Right.
But he, but if you
See,
just
when you said
go back
Kingston,
to
you made a
look at
fire
his-
alarm go off.
But you go back into his, but if you go back to just like watching a video of him, and I look at that, I'm just looking at form itself. It's just like, okay, that was some of the best kicking I've seen. There are some things that I think, of course, weren't
I
that
agree.
great.
I agree.
But just watching it,
Kingston was very good.
Yeah. And I mean, for
Kingston
me,
was very good.
when I put myself in there, I think my longevity like speaks for itself.
I
Right.
think you should have put yourself number one, but that was me.
But like I said, Mike Chat, I mean, he was a great kicker. He had the longevity, right? Great technician, clean. But besides Mike, who else was there? Like you said, Anthony Murata, I don't know, but I would have to relook at his kicks.
I love your honesty. I love is just straight black and white honesty. Dude,
All right,
I'm old.
this has been.
We
so
gotta
much
go
fun.
though.
We gotta
We are
go.
up against the clock. This is amazing. If you took anything away from the show, it was go check out the Korean Challenge at the Battle of Atlanta. This is another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. Thank you, Master Chung.
My pleasure. We'll see you guys.